We're live from Lagos. This is News Central. I'm Adesewa Josh with the top stories this hour. President Bola Tinubu orders investigation into the terrorist attack on a military base in Borno State, which reportedly killed 6 soldiers. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu signs 2025 appropriation bill of 3.3 trillion naira into law, charges stakeholders to deliver an impressive level of implementation. And state funeral holds for former U.S. President Jimmy Carter, as President Joe Biden describes him as a leader ahead of his time.
In business, Aggrieved shareholders of FBN Holdings PLC call for removal of Chairman Femi Otedola over alleged fraud.
And in sports, Quadri Arena kicks off the 2025 with significant victory over British champion Liam Pitchford at the WTT Star Contender Series in Doha.
And on that note, tonight begins right now. We begin tonight in Borno State, where President Bola Tinubu has called for an investigation into the recent terrorist attack on a military base that killed 6 soldiers. The attack was reportedly launched by members of the Islamic State West Africa Province, ISWAP, in the early hours of January the 4th in Sabongida, Damboa local government area. The ensuing gun battle between the military and members of ISWAP led to the killing of at least 34 of the terror group, as many of them fled the scene of the attack. Staying on security, Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has accused foreign countries of providing Boko Haram with weapons and financial support. In an interview with Al Jazeera regarding the ongoing security challenges in Nigeria, General Musa raised concerns about the persistence of Boko Haram's activities over the past 16 years, despite the Nigerian military's efforts to defeat the group. He specifically pointed to evidence that many Boko Haram fighters captured by the military were found in possession of funds linked to powerful foreign nations, suggesting that international actors may be complicit in supporting the group. General Musa called on the United Nations to investigate the sources of funding and training for Boko Haram militants, highlighting the group's continued operations despite the military's claimed successes in weakening them. In other news now, the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has signed the state's 2025 appropriation bill into law. At an estimated 3.36 trillion naira, the budget is nearly 50% higher than last year's. News Central's Lekon Onobanjo tells us more.
The Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has signed the 2025 appropriation bill, earlier presented before the State House of Assembly, into law. The bill, tagged Budget of Sustainability, is a 3.366 trillion naira package that aims to address infrastructure, economic diversification, and other critical sectors. Governor Sanwo-Olu said the budget underscored his administration's commitment to prioritizing infrastructure, with 62% allocated to capital expenditure and 38% to recurrent spending, representing a focus on driving long-term investment while maintaining efficient delivery of essential services. According to details, the budget's revenue framework projects 2.342 trillion naira from total internally generated revenue and 626.137 billion naira from federal transfers, with a deficit financing of 398.662 billion naira. The governor on November 21, 2024 presented a budget estimate of 3,535,938,198,401 naira. However, the State Assembly passed the 2025 appropriation bill, increasing it to 3 366,815,224,144 naira, stressing the imperative of developing the state's electricity, road infrastructure, and education, amongst others. Lagosians will be hoping that the 2025 budget will deliver on the promises of the Sanwo-Olu administration, while also improving the quality of life and pioneering the delivery of democratic dividends to all electorates. In Lagos for News Central, Lekan Onabanjo.
I'm now being joined by Akin Fatunke, a chartered accountant. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I suppose you're joining us from Lagos, are you?
Yes, very much here in Lagos, Adesewa.
Fabulous. So let's have this critical conversation. I'll start with the fact that 3.4 trillion naira sounds like a lot. And that's about 7% of the proposed 2025 national budget. Am I correct?
Very correct. And some 48.5% increase over last year.
Exactly. That's about 50% jump from last year's budget. I mean, what does this say about Lagos's economy? Let's start with that.
It therefore says that sustainability and looking at key themes of infrastructure development, diversification, and social welfare. This fall sits well with the overall long-term goal of the Governor Sanwo-Olu's administration during his second term. It also, in my opinion, looking at some 59%, that's hoping, 59% of that total budget going to infrastructural, development. 1.766 billion, that is huge. And those capital expenditure, we'll be looking at roads, road construction, road repairs, pedestrian infrastructure. Also looking again at an area of tourism and creative sector, gulping 908.7 billion. That looks basically at the economic affairs sector and aimed at global competitiveness, look at economic diversification, like I said, and creating inclusive growth. Environmental sustenance, again, which I must say, and I must give a kudos to the Lagos State government, leading the pack where they are talking about how can we make our environment sustainable. Yes, been a lot of pains to some people, but in the overall, it's getting nearer there. When I talked about that, I'm talking about some 233.176 billion allocated to address climate change and what have you. And finally, social protection,
right,
47.77 billion to improve quality of life.
I think that's a lot of numbers you're reeling out. It is very impressive.
I think it's a great one for Lagos State.
Great, Aki, and a lot of our viewers are saying that is fantastic. It is very progressive. But I have a few numbers I want us to look at right now, because numbers don't lie.
Correct.
See, last year, the money Lagos State made through its internally generated revenue was about 816 billion naira, and that's according to the National Bureau of Statistics. That's a 33.6% jump from the year before. Last year was considerably tough economically for the average Lagosian. So it means, despite the chaos economically that was going on, Lagos was still making money. What percentage of that came from income tax? Do you know? And I'm going somewhere with this conversation.
I would rather say income tax, no, the IGR, more like the IGR, income tax. Don't forget, we are getting into the arena where we are going to be looking at taxation and widening the scope of the tax nets at the federal level. No doubt about that. More keeps on coming, but the evasion and avoidance that has dovetailed that area is just not helped at all. So Income tax, I just say, even when you talk about pay and then, associated tax, was minuscule. When you compare to this particular budget that we are trying to look at, that is robustly looking at about 1.97 trillion. Harnessing, in my opinion, creatively, all those creative aspects that Lagos State keeps on looking at, including tourism, including the creative economy that is booming, like just name it.
Right.
And then looking at federal allocation, okay, maybe it's small. And at the end of the day, we'll have a deficit.
Mr. Akinfatunke, thank you so much for your contribution to this story. You clearly knew where I was going to with that question, but I would like to explore it further with our next guest. Thank you so much, Akinfatunke, a chartered accountant, joining us from Lagos. Now let's bring in my next guest.
Excellent.
Is Mr. Stephen Ogundikwe, a member of the Lagos State House of Assembly. Thank you so much for making the time to join us tonight. And I'm going to throw that question I asked Akinfatunke back again. I know Lagos is making a lot of money despite the economic crisis across the country and in the state itself. And I was explaining earlier that about 816 billion naira was made in this state last year through Lagos's internally generated revenue. But I would like to know how much of that money came from income tax. If you do not, we'll move on to our next question.
Yeah, first and foremost, thank you once again for having me. And let me also use the opportunity to congratulate all Lagosians, because today we are very excited. We are happy when the 2025 budget was passed by His Excellency, the Governor of Lagos State, our own governor, who is also working very hard to make sure that Lagosians have what we called a better standard of living, despite all the challenges, all the problems on ground. We are seeing that Lagos is moving forward, and that is a thing of joy for us. Let me go back to your question. Like you said, issue of income tax, yes, it's important to us, but don't forget, a lot of investors are coming into Lagos, and just because of what is happening. And the revenue chore is also moving up. And let me also take you up on this. Don't forget that this is the first time we are having our own total capital, almost 2.1 trillion.
It is impressive indeed.
While the current expenditure is also only 1.2 trillion. And that shows that a lot of people are thinking for Lagos, professionals and everybody's vested interests are in. And we are just making sure that Lagos still remains the hub of not just Africa now, even the world. So if you talk in terms of Lagos, everybody wants to come down here.
That's right. So now that you have established the fact that Lagos has done greatly well, and part of it is because it's been successful so far, not just because of how well Lagos can plan, but also the fact that Lagosians are complying with your tax rules. Would you agree with me?
Yes.
Now,
definitely.
I want to break this down a little bit. In Lagos, the monthly expenses of a family of 4 is estimated at about 3.2 million naira without rent, according to Numbeo, while that of a single person costs about 900,000 naira without rent. And guess what? The average salary is about 100,000 naira. You see where I'm going with this question? Is there any provision or projects in this budget that addresses the issue of cost of living in the city, even as Lagosians continue to play their role, at least many of them, of paying their taxes? They would like to live better, if you like.
Yeah, I do agree with you, and I do understand where you are coming from. But don't forget, Lagos is not an isolation when it comes to the country generally. And definitely, we know we are in a situation whereby the economy is having its own issues, while the president was also coming in as when he was campaigning around the country, he told us we are going to face a tough period, and definitely to get to a point we will also move out of it. Yeah, Lagos on its own is trying so much hard to cushion this effect of the economy on the citizenry. As a matter of fact, the Lagos State House of Assembly is also working hard to make sure that a lot of palliatives are coming to Lagosians, most especially in the terms of house rents, especially for the downtrodden and for also all our workers. So what definitely we do understand what has been going on, and we're all making all our efforts to make sure there's a lot of improvement in tandem with.
Thank you, Mr. Stephen Ogundukwe, for at least acknowledging the fact that these issues exist, and I hope that the budget will address some of the issues for Lagosians. Thank you for speaking to us tonight. Stephen Ogundukwe, a member of the Lagos House of Assembly. We're taking a short break now. When we come back, we'll have some more money talks about the GDP and Nigeria's economy. Do stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching tonight on News Central. I'm Adesewa Josh. We're still talking about Nigeria's economy. The National Bureau of Statistics has released updates to the rebasing of Nigeria's gross domestic product and consumer price inflation. What this simply means is that the government is trying to get clarity on the real size of the economy and the contributions each sector is making to it. News Central's business correspondent, Perpetual Fasomi Peter, has the details.
Has outlined their justifications and adjustments in its newly rebased methodologies for Nigeria's gross domestic product, GDP, and consumer price index, CPI.
Let me say that rebasing is a very vital exercise that ensures our economy indicators are current and accurate to reflect the economic realities that is on ground.
The rebased GDP utilizes 2019 as its base year, encompassing a broader range of informal sector activities and incorporating the contributions of the digital economy. Meanwhile, the weight reference period for the CPI is 2023, while the price reference period, also known as base year, is 2024. The rebased CPI also introduces new indices.
The new CPI rebase that will be released this year, January, has other indices that have never been released before. Number one is services index. At what rate is prices of services in Nigeria increasing? People want to know. Education, health, transport. MBS will bring that on board by the end of this month. Also, energy index. At what rate is price fluctuating in this sector?
Also speaking at the event, the CEO, Nigerian Economic Summit Group, emphasized the need to depoliticize and disaggregate data beyond the headlines.
So beyond the top line rebasing, because everybody's asking how big is the economy going to be or how small will it shrink? Beyond that, my challenge to the room is let's make the data sweat so that I can begin to confess some things that we didn't know before about our own economy and our own economic activities. And the lessons from that should lead to the kind of economic transformation we want.
Preliminary findings from the ongoing GDP and CPI rebasing indicate significant structural changes in Nigeria's economy, with crop production, trade and real estate now ranking as the top 3 contributors. Additionally, two inflation reports reflecting both old and new methodologies are scheduled for release in January. In Lagos, for News Central, I am Perpetual Fasomi Peter.
Ohaneze Ndigbo, a prominent social-cultural organization, is gearing up for its election on Friday, January the 10th. The group hopes for a smooth election process and is asking participants to play by the rules in order to avoid litigations. News Central's Chinwe Ugele tells us more.
Naturally, the election of the new president of Ohaneze Ndigbo should be a hitch-free exercise due to the rotational system of selection from the Igbo-speaking states as provided in their constitution. According to the arrangement, Rivers State should produce the next President General of the body. The court ruling on Wednesday must have dealt a blow on the ambition of former Inspector General of Police Mike Okiru, having been restrained from contesting for the office of the President General of the apex body.
His rights are clearly established that truly he's from Rivers State, and you go on a frivolous legal journey in the court where it is progressive and active will reverse it.
While Okiru's interest in the leadership is hinged on his state of origin, Rivers, some allege that a presidency of Mike Okiru means Imo State is still in charge.
So Mike Okiru is from the Ebema in Imo State. In fact, his other brother is one of the SS in Ebema in Imo State.
A traditional ruler in Abia State and a member of Imobi Ohaneze, His Royal Majesty Eze Nzawata Mbakwe says Okiru is Igbo and qualified to run.
He's from Rivers State, and part of Rivers State belongs to the Igbo race, so he's qualified.
Former Secretary to Abia State Government, Ralph Ebu, however, says the Constitution should have addressed any doubts without involvement of the courts.
You want to do elections where the President General will be involved, and suddenly somebody has a recourse, has a need to go to court last minute. It shows lack of proper organization. It shows political immaturity. We must be serious. Because something as big as changing the entire executive of a body of the magnitude of Ohaneze ought to be a process that is well defined, that is clear, that is certain, that cannot be thwarted by last minute intrigues.
Ebu believes the body ought to expunge things that polarize it and cast doubt on the quality of leaders that are in place at any time. A new leadership of Ohaneze Ndigbo that will pilot the affairs of the Igbos worldwide will emerge on Friday for a 4-year tenure. In Omahia for News Central, I am Chinwe Ugele.
Abubakar Yusufu, counsel to the former governor of Edo State, has refuted claims that Godwin Obaseki is in hiding. Yusufu told News Central that the former governor has been on a medical trip out of the country and that he formally handed over to his successor, Governor Monday Okwebolo, before he left.
He was going for medicals abroad, and ever since we have been in talking terms. And he has obliged me with all the necessary documents, and we tend to oblige the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. For about 8 years as the governor of the state, even 8 years as the economic advisor, he has not really done any serious medical checkup. He traveled, indeed it was even made manifest in the social and mainstream media that he was going for medical checkup, and it's still ongoing. And I'm even surprised that somebody has not been invited formally. There are moves being taken to declare him wanted. I talk to Obaseki every other day. He's enthusiastic to complete his medical checkup, and he's ready to come. And even if you look at the so-called accusations, you discover that it's nothing but a sublime piece of mysticism and a high-sounding nothing. So at the appropriate time, this is not the time to open our war chest of defense here. But at the appropriate time, we are going to open that, and you discover that it will suffer a violent harm of dismissal.
A disturbing 2-minute video of Stella Nwadigbo, a teacher who repeatedly hit a 3-year-old pupil of Chris Motor's school, Isawa Road in Ikorodu, Lagos, for not quickly grasping his number writing instructions, emerged on Wednesday. The video has elicited reactions from many Nigerians, parents, and educators alike. Parents and educators therefore believe there is need for discipline in schools, but must be done with caution. News Central's Omolola Ololade has more.
Like this, right 6 for me.
Trending earlier this week was a viral video of a teacher repeatedly hitting a 3-year-old boy in a school in Lagos for not quickly grasping his number writing instructions. This video has since sparked reactions from many Nigerians online and offline, especially parents who believe the incident is simply a case of assault. Some parents therefore believe there is a thin line between discipline and assault of pupils, hence the need for teachers to show professionalism at all times.
It's an assault. That cannot be a discipline. No, it's an assault. Because the age of the boy, 3 years old, what would 3 years old boy know? That's something about it. And the more she was slapping that boy, the boy was shaking. There was no how she could get the best out of that boy.
So when I saw that video, I was very, very angry. I was pissed. But at the end of the day, I realized that I think professionalism is very, very important when it comes to teaching a child, in the sense that there is the area of discipline, yes, and assault is a no.
However, educationists and relevant stakeholders condemn the teacher's action, saying it's a violation of the child's rights and emphasizing that schools must be a safe space for children.
Maybe the fact that maybe she has been provoked elsewhere or provoked by the pupils that the incident happened to. But at the end of the day, as a role model and as a professional, there's a way you treat situations like that. If we we must know the need of that child.
When it comes to children, do not mind your business. Child protection is everyone's business. We must make sure that we let people know, especially when you see children who have several marks on their body, and the child is living with a parent or a guardian, or the child is being locked out, the child is going through some form of emotional abuse or psychological abuse. It is not right. Children also go through abuse, and we should not let this go on. That case was a case of, it was not discipline, it was straight assaults.
While Lagos State Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency have intervened by arresting the teacher, the school involved also reacted to the video by suspending the teacher indefinitely until investigation is concluded. The school management also introduced a confidential whistleblowing system for prompt reporting of inappropriate behavior. Although the school's response is a step in the right direction, many hope that more will be done by the government and critical stakeholders to protect children at all costs. In Lagos, for News Central, I am Omolola Ololade.
We go on a short break now. When we return, we'll tell you about a peace process that is currently taking place in Lake Chad. Do stay with us. Welcome back. Bayelsa State Governor Diri is asking members of his cabinet to brace for more productivity to ensure that the various projects and programs earmarked to celebrate the February 14th anniversary of his first year, second term administration are delivered. Diri, who reminded members of the Executive Council of his earlier directive to present their performance report for 2024, disclosed that his administration has mapped out projects to be inaugurated to mark his first-year anniversary.
Governance is timed. I'm sure some of you will be surprised that we are now going into the end of our first year. In some few weeks' time, by 14th February, this government in second term is 1 year old. I know commissioners came in much later, but it follows that you are also 1 year old. It means that we have only 3 more years. And everybody, every commissioner now have to sit up. Everybody have to sit up. You don't have the luxury of time. Every day is important to you and to the state. All our plans, all our projects must be completed, including the new ones that we're about to embark on.
Nigeria's House of Representatives Committee on the Environment has expressed concerns over the removal of the Environmental Health Council of Nigeria and 13 other professional bodies from the 2024 budgetary allocations. The chairman of the committee during the 2025 budget defense session says that the non-release of funds by the ministry will hamper efforts aimed at tackling the country's environmental challenges.
Prominent among other concerns of the committee is that effective 1st January 2024, the Environmental Health Council of Nigeria and 13 professional bodies / councils was removed from budgetary allocations. The same 13 bodies have since been reinstated, leaving only ECON. Let me use the opportunity to call on the Honorable Minister to work closely with the committee.
Left to me, what has happened is quite good. We will go back. They will start to sort out the discrepancies they have mentioned, and I'm sure by next week, whether I'm here or not, it will be sorted out.
We'll take another short break. When we come back, we have more stories. To stay with us. The multinational Joint Task Force, as part of effort to strengthen regional solidarity, has awarded medals to officers and men from Nigeria, Chad, Cameroon, and Niger for their contribution to the ongoing fight against insurgency in the Lake Chad region. This MNJTF provided support to wounded soldiers and the families of those who lost their lives in the fight against insurgency in the Lake Chad. News Center's Umaru Kirawa completes the report.
For more than a decade, the battle to ending terrorism has been the cause in the Lake Chad. Armed forces use both gunpower and persuasive strategies.
We have facilitated the repatriation of over 30,000 refugees and internally displaced persons, helping them return to their communities and restoring their normal lives. During Operation Lake Sanity 2, which was conducted from the 23rd of April to the 23rd of July last year, we dismantled crucial terrorist logistic bases, neutralizing over 310 terrorists and crippling their operational capabilities. Our efforts have also led to the arrest of over 160 logistics suppliers and informants, as well as the surrender of more than 800 terrorists and their families, indicating a decline in support of terrorism.
Political leaders, traditional and members of the diplomatic corps, among others, converged here to honor the selfless sacrifice of the men and officers of the MNJTF. Hamid Usman, a soldier who lost both limbs amidst battle, smiled as he received support.
L'opération Lac Sanity 2, menée sur une période de 3 mois, avec 2 prolongations stratégiques de 45 jours, chacune a été un tournant majeur dans notre lutte contre Boko Haram. Cette opération a permis la destruction des bases terroristes dans la région de Kida-Ougo.
Families of fallen heroes were also supported.
I'm extremely happy, but I said so, that while I'm happy, we shouldn't forget that the war is still not over. The minds of the army should not completely be diverted from the northeast, because northeast still has some certain serious threats. We need to clear the remnants.
The battle to ensuring peace in the Lake Chad region remains a challenge, and the multinational joint task force says they are determined to work closely with the communities to address some of the security threats bedeviling the region. From Jamaina, headquarters of Chad, for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
Hundreds of mourners, including all 5 living current and former U.S. presidents, packed into Washington's National Cathedral on Thursday to mourn Jimmy Carter, the 39th President of the United States. As the ceremony began and a bitterly cold wind blew, Carter's flag-draped coffin was carried up the stone steps of the cathedral by a military honor guard after his trip from the Capitol, where his body had laid in state for 2 days. Fellow Democratic President Joe Biden will eulogize the 39th president who died on December the 29th at the age of 100. Republican President-elect Donald Trump was among the luminaries at the funeral before Carter's body is returned to Georgia, where Carter was raised as a farmer. So rest in peace. It's time for some business news, and I'm being joined by Perpetual from our business desk. Perpetual, what is this imminent shakeup in the leadership of FBN Holdings? Did I get it right?
Of course you did. Well, it's just about the shareholders who fear that, the private placement of 360 billion naira shares could make Otedola gain absolute control of the company or the holding company, and that is something that they do not want. But of course, there's a lot more to this. I'll tell you that after this time.
I'm looking forward.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
And in business news, shareholders holding 10% of FBN Holdings PLC have called for an extraordinary general meeting to discuss the removal of its board chairman, Femi Otedola, and non-executive director Julius Omodayo Owotuga. The alleged Otedola's leadership, facilitated by former CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele, has led to governance lapses, favoritism in executive appointments, and plans for a contentious 360 billion naira private placement to consolidate control. With Barbican Capital holding a larger stake at 15.01%, the demand raises critical questions about corporate governance and regulatory oversight. Stakeholders await SEC and CBN responses to the unfolding leadership crisis at FBN Holdings. The Securities and Exchange Commission has reiterated its dedication to enhancing Nigeria's commodities exchanges as pivotal drivers of economic growth, job creation, and poverty alleviation. SEC Director General Dr. Emomotimi Agama emphasized the importance of capacity building, infrastructure development, and stakeholder collaboration to improve the market. Commodities exchanges provide a structured, transparent platform for trade, benefiting farmers, traders, and investors while reducing post-harvest losses and stabilizing prices. SEC aims to foster a thriving commodities ecosystem aligned with Nigeria's commodity-based economy. Plans include hosting the second International Commodities Conference in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Trade and Investment. Moody's emphasizes the importance of structural reforms for South Africa and Nigeria to bolster economic growth and creditworthiness. South Africa faces persistent logistics and infrastructure challenges, though improvements like exiting electricity load shedding signal gradual progress. Budget retailers and gold miners are set to thrive, benefiting from consumer demand and elevated bullion prices, respectively. Across sub-Saharan Africa, receding inflation and easing monetary policies could reduce financing costs, though debt affordability remains a concern. Countries like Namibia, Angola, and the Republic of Congo show promise with investments in energy and mining sectors, indicating potential transformative economic growth by 2025. And finally, Ghana's newly sworn-in president, John Dramani Mahama, has appointed Castle Arthur-Ferguson as finance minister, tasking him with driving economic recovery and job creation. Ferguson, a chartered accountant and former deputy finance minister, brings extensive experience, including serving as leader of the opposition in parliament since January 2023. Mahama, who resumed office after winning December's election, has pledged swift economic reforms, a business-friendly climate, and an anti-corruption drive. Other appointees include John Abdullahi Jinapor as Energy Minister and Dominic Akuritinga Anye as Attorney General. And that's our offering on Business News at this time.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
It's time now for some sports news with Udoka from our sports desk. What's going on, brother?
Well, a lot of things happening across the world of sports, especially with Aruna Quadri, who made a big start at the WTT Contender Series. We'll be right back to give you more sports.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
Now in sports, Africa's second highest ranked men's players, Quadri Aruna, kicked off 2025 with a significant victory on Thursday by defeating British champion Liam Pitchford. The win propelled him into the third round of the men's singles at the WTT Star Contender Series in Doha in Qatar. As the only remaining African competitor and the fifth seed, Aruna navigated the challenging style of Pitchford to avoid an early exit. Despite losing the first game 10-12, Aruna Quadri bounced back to win the next three games 11-9, 11-9, 11-9, securing his spot in the third round. Next up for Aruna is Spain's Alvaro Robles, who also advanced by defeating the Japanese contender in the second round. Now, the National Sports Commission will put in place policies that will place a premium on the welfare of athletes. National Sports Commission Chairman Shehu Diko gave this assurance when a delegation of the Professional Footballers Association of Nigeria paid him a courtesy visit. Diko highlighted the Commission's plans in consonance with President Bola Tinubu's mandate to improve the lot of the Nigerian athletes. The chairman emphasized the importance of unity within the players' union, noting that factional interests must not overshadow the shared goal of advocating for the welfare and advancement of Nigerian football players and athletes in general. And the English Premier League, now struggling side Everton, sacked their manager Sean Dyche on Thursday, just hours before their FA Cup third-round tie against Peterborough. The club are just 1 point above the relegation zone after posting just 3 wins in the first 19 games in the Premier League this season. Speculations about Dyche's future had intensified, with reports suggesting Everton's new owners, the US-based Fried King Group, had been talking to potential successors after completing a takeover of the Liverpool club. 53-year-old Dyche is the 6th manager to lose his job in the English Premier League this season. And lastly, in tennis, rising British star Jacob Friendly is set to face Nick Kyrgios and a partisan home crowd in the controversial Australian's planned return to Grand Slam tennis. Kyrgios, who has been given a wild card by Australian Open organizers, has not played at a major since the 2022 US Open after a series of injuries. 23-year-old Scott Fenley qualified for the main draw of a major for the first time after his sudden rise into the world's top 100. The reward for the British number 3 is a first-round tie against Nick Kyrgios, presuming the 2022 Wimbledon finalist is fit enough to play. Now, 29-year-old Kyrgios recently made his comeback in Brisbane after 18 months out and undergoing wrist surgery, which left him fearing for his career. And that's a wrap on Sport Update. I am Udoka Njok.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
Time now for some entertainment news with Adesewa. Adesewa joins me in the studio. I hear Nigerian artists are running the show on the streets of Spotify. Who are they?
Well, what can we say? It seems that every time we get into something, we just dominate. It's our lifestyle. What do we say?
That's just how we roll.
Well, as it is so far, Spotify has brought out the list of the most promising stars to look out for in 2025, judging from their performance in 2024. So there's a couple of guys here I'd like to introduce as well for you to let's check them out. And we also have events that have been cancelled or rescheduled due to the California fire incident that's happening right now. But I'll give you all the details shortly.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
All right, now let's go right into these guys who were, most promising stars coming out this 2025, because the conversation is these people have been very, very effective in 2024. So Spotify decided to put out the list and say, okay, let's start with Ayo Maaf.
Who's that?
Ayo Maaf. You don't know Ayo Maaf?
Oh, please don't shame me on national TV.
Okay, Ayo Maaf is a young Nigerian.
I bet I'm not the only Nigerian who doesn't know who
I am. Are you sure?
Okay,
fine. Okay, he's a young Nigerian. Right. He's like, he's in his 20s, quite talented young individual, and he's signed under the Empire record as well.
What song is he popular for?
Popular for the title Dealer. He had a feature, Fireboy on that. Do you know who Fireboy is, right?
I'm going to pretend I do.
You don't?
At this point.
Okay, well, moving on. Let's just move. I'm sure there's someone on this list that you will know, and I'm sure I'll definitely get that to you as well. Right. So Ayo Maaf is one of these individuals who is on that list because he was named Nigeria's most streamed song in 2024. So Spotify said, okay, we need to look out for this guy. The next on that list is TML. Now, TML is another young Nigerian, still in his 20s, he's quite young, doing it big as well. You know, he has been with, he's done different collaborations, and he's signed under the Vibes Inc. Record label. If you know Sheyi Vibes, you know Sheyi Vibes. He owns the record label. Okay, let's move on. All right, we have Boy P. Now, this is the one I know you should know. Okay. They sang Ogechi, Ogechi.
Oh, yeah, I know that one.
Yeah. You know that, right?
Yes.
Exactly. So
listen to me. Is King Sunny Ade on that list?
No.
Have I just giving away my age?
Maybe.
Please do not blame me that I don't know any of those people right now.
Well, okay, well, we have Boy P on that list as well because of their song with Davido. It was a massive hit in 2024. So they tell, okay, let's watch out for these guys because they're quite talented as well. And we have K Styles, another individual who is doing big on there as well with various collaborations. He had this collaboration with Omale. And I believe you know Omale. Yeah, yes, Omale. He had a collaboration with Omale doing big things. The title of the song was Dealer, had so much streams on Spotify, so they decided to put him on that list as well. And we have Lona, another young individual. I noticed that everybody on this list, they are in their 20s. That is to tell us that these are guys of the future, looking at music of the future. So these are the people who are going to be, you know, who Spotify has put out there for us to watch and see. Maybe their 2024 was not just a fluke, or maybe they'll come out in 2025 and give us more music as well. And quickly, let me just do this because we're talking about the events that got cancelled due to the California
yes, I heard about
fire.
That.
Yes,
California
a lot of
fire.
Events got cancelled. Rod Waves is supposed to have a rap concert that got cancelled as well. And we have the Oscars nomination announcement. It was supposed to be happening. It's been rescheduled to the 19th of January because it was supposed to be the 17th. We have the Critics' Choice Awards as well. That was rescheduled as well because...
That's a big one that got cancelled.
That's a big one as well.
And I can't begin to imagine the implication of that on tickets that have been sold.
Yes.
And just the psychology of the performers in general. Because we don't know when it will be rescheduled.
Yes, we don't know yet for that one, basically.
Well, Adewo, always brilliant as usual.
You know how it is.
Thank you so much. I'd like to end tonight on this very high note. Thanks for coming on the show.
All right, so that's all the entertainment conversations here tonight. We're moving on from there.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
That's a wrap tonight. You can watch News Central live on DSTV, channel 422, StarTimes, channel 274, AVO TV, and YouTube. I want to thank our viewers for sticking through the night with us. Many thanks for watching. I am Adesewa Josh. I'll see you tomorrow.